Week 38. Mark 15-16.
Mark 15. 1. And at once in the morning the chief priests made a council with the elders and with the scribes and with the whole assembly, and they bound Yeshua and brought him and delivered him to Pilate. 2. And Pilate asked him, You are the king of the Judeans? But he answered and said to him, You have said. 3. And the chief priests accused him of many things. 4. Then Pilate again asked him and said to him, Do you not answer? See how many are testifying against you. 5. But Yeshua gave no answer, to Pilate's amazement. 6. But he had set a time at every feast to release one prisoner to them, whomever they requested. 7. And there was one who was called Barabbas, who was bound with those who had made sedition, who had committed murder in the sedition. 8. And the people cried out, and they began to ask that he would keep the custom which he had been doing for them. 9. And Pilate answered and said, Are you willing that I release to you the king of the Judeans? 10. For Pilate had known that for envy the chief priests had delivered him to them. 11. But the chief priests urged the crowd all the more that he would release Barabbas to them. 12. But Pilate said to them, What do you want me to do to this one whom you call the king of the Judeans? 13. But they again cried out, Crucify him. 14. But Pilate said to them, What evil has he done? And they were crying out even more, Crucify him. 15. But Pilate chose to do the will of the crowds, and he released Barabbas to them and delivered Yeshua to them, after he had been scourged, to be crucified. 16. But the soldiers led him within the courtyard, which is the praetorium, and they called the whole company of soldiers. 17. And they clothed him in purple, and they wound and placed on him a crown of thorns. 18. And they began to greet him. Hail, King of the Judeans. 19. And they were hitting him on his head with a reed and spitting in his face and bowing on their knees and worshipping him. 20. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the purple and clothed him in his clothes, and led him to crucify him. 21. And they detained one who was passing by, Shimeon, a Cyrenian, who had come from the field, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to take up his cross. 22. And they brought him to the place Golgotha, which is interpreted, the skull. 23. And they gave him wine to drink, mixed with myrrh, but he would not take it. 24. And when they crucified him, they divided his garments and cast lots for them, who would take what? 25. But it was the third hour when they crucified him. 26. And the pretext of his death was written in this writing. This is the king of the Judeans. 27. And they crucified 2 robbers with him, one at his right and one at his left. 28. And the scripture was fulfilled that says, He was numbered with wicked men. 29. But those also who were passing by were blaspheming against him and were shaking their heads, and they were saying, O destroyer of the temple, and the one who builds it in 3 days. 30. Save yourself and come down from the cross. 31. And likewise the chief priests were joking with one another and the scribes, and they were saying, He saved others, he cannot save himself. 32. Let the Messiah, the King of Israel, descend now from the cross that we may see, and we will believe in him. And those also who were crucified with him were reviling him. 33. And when it was the 6th hour, darkness was over all the earth until the 9th hour. 34. And in the 9th hour Yeshua cried out in a loud voice, and he said, I'll, Lamana Shabachthani, which is, my Yehovah, why have you forsaken me? 35. And the people who heard among those standing there were saying, He called to Elijah. 36. But one ran and filled a sponge with vinegar and tied it on a reed to give him a drink, and they said, Let him alone. Let us see if Elijah comes to take him down. 37. But Yeshua cried with a loud voice, and he expired. 38. And the curtain of the entrance of the temple was ripped in 2 from the top unto the bottom. 39. But when that centurion who was standing with him saw that he had so cried out and expired, he said, Truly, this man was the son of Jehovah. 40. But there were also women there from afar off, who were looking. Miriam Magdalene and Miriam, mother of Jacob the Small, and of Yos and Shalom. 41. They were those who had joined him when he was in Galilee and ministered to him, and many other women who had gone up with him to Jerusalem. 42. And when it was Friday evening, which is before the Sabbath. 43. 43. Yosef came, who was from Ramtha, an honorable counselor who had been waiting for the kingdom of Jehovah, and he ventured and entered to Pilate, and requested the body of Yeshua. 44. But Pilate wondered if he had been dead that long, and he called the centurion and asked him if he had died before the time. 45. And when he learned, he gave his body to Yosef. 46. And Yosef had bought linen, and he took it down and wrapped it, and placed it in a tomb that was hewn out in rock, and he rolled a stone at the entrance of the tomb. 47. But Miriam Magdalene and Miriam, the mother of Yos, saw where he had been laid. Mark 16. 1. And when the Sabbath had passed, Miriam Magdalene and Miriam of Jacob and Shalom bought sweet spices that they might come to anoint him. 2. But in the early morning in the first day of the week, they came to the tomb when the sun arose. 3. And they were saying among themselves, but who will roll the stone away for us the door from the tomb? 4. And looking they saw that the stone had been rolled away, for it was very great. 5. And they entered the tomb and saw a young man sitting on the right side. He was wearing a white robe, and they were astonished. 6. But he said to them, do not be afraid. You are seeking Yeshua the Nazarene, who was crucified. He has arisen, he is not here. Behold the place where he was laid. 7. But go say to his disciples and to Kepha, behold, he will go before you to Galilee, you will see him there, just as he said to you. 8. When they heard, they fled and went out from the tomb, for shock and trembling had seized them, and they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid. 9. But at dawn, on the first day of the week, he arose and appeared first to Mary Magdalene, from whom he had cast out 7 demons. 10. And she went and proclaimed the good news to those who had been with him, who were mourning and weeping. 11. And when they heard them saying that he was alive and had appeared to them, they did not believe it. 12. After these things, he appeared before 2 of them in another form as they walked, and they were going to a village. 13. And they went and told the rest, neither did they believe them. 14. But afterward, he appeared to the 11 when they reclined at a meal, and he condemned the lack of their faith and the callousness of their heart, because they had not believed them who had seen him before. 15. And he said to them, go to the entire world and preach my good news in all creation. 16. Whoever believes and is baptized has life, and whoever does not believe is condemned. 17. But these signs will accompany these who believe. In my name they will cast out demons, and they will speak in new languages. 18. And they will take up snakes, and if they should drink lethal poison, it will not harm them, and they will place their hands on the sick, and they will be healed. 19. But Yeshua our Elohim, after he was speaking with them, ascended into heaven, and he sat down at the right side of JEHOVAH. 20. But they went forth and they preached in every place, and our Elohim was helping them and confirming their words with the signs that they were doing.
Luke 1-4.
Luke 1. 1. Because many were willing to write an account of those events, of which we are persuaded. 2. Like the things which they delivered to us who from the first were eyewitnesses and servants of the word. 3. He appeared also to me because I had approached all things carefully, that I would write everything in order to you, excellent Theophila. 4. That you may know the truth of the words of which you have been instructed by such. 5. In the days of Herodas, the king of Judea, there was a certain priest whose name was Zechariah from the ministry of the house of Abiah, and his wife was named Elizabeth, who was of the daughters of Aaron. 6. Both of them were righteous before Jehovah, and they were walking in all the commandments and in the judgments of Elohim Jehovah without reproach. 7. But they did not have a son, because Elizabeth was infertile, and both of them were advanced in their days. 8. And as he was exercising his priestly function in the order of his service before Jehovah. 9. In the tradition of the priesthood, it befell him to offer incense, and he entered the temple of the Elohim Jehovah. 10. And all the crowds of the people were praying outside at the time of incense. 11. And an angel of the Elohim Jehovah appeared to Zechariah, who stood at the right side of the altar of incense. 12. And Zechariah was troubled when he saw him, and dread fell upon him. 13. And the angel said to him, do not be afraid, Zechariah, because your prayer has been heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name Johanan. 14. You will have joy and gladness, and many will rejoice at his birth. 15. He will be great before Elohim Jehovah, and he will not drink wine or strong drink, and he will be filled with the spirit of holiness, while he is in the womb of his mother. 16. And he will turn many of the children of Israel to Elohim Jehovah, their Jehovah. 17. And he will go before him in the spirit and in the power of Elijah the prophet, to turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and those who do not have faith to the knowledge of the just one, and he will prepare a perfect people for Elohim Jehovah. 18. And Zechariah said to the angel, how shall I know this, for I am old and my wife is advanced in her days? 19. The angel answered and he said to him, I am Gabriel, who am standing before Jehovah, and I am sent to speak with you and to give you these tidings. 20. Henceforth, you will be dumb, and you will not be able to speak until the day that these things will occur, because you did not believe my words, which will be fulfilled in their time. 21. But the people were standing and waiting for Zechariah, and they were wondering at his tarrying in the temple. 22. But when Zechariah came out, he was not able to speak with them, and they perceived that he had seen a vision in the temple and was making signs, gesturing to them, and he still remained mute. 23. And when the days of his service were fulfilled he went to his house. 24. And it happened after those days, Elizabeth his wife conceived, and she had secluded herself for 5 months, and she said. 25. Elohim Jehovah has done these things for me in the days in which he regarded me to take away my reproach among the children of men. 26. But in the 6th month, Gabriel the angel was sent from the presence of Jehovah to Galilee to the city whose name was Nazareth. 27. To a virgin who was engaged to a man from the house of David, whose name was Joseph, and the name of the virgin was Miriam. 28. The angel entered her presence, and he said to her, Peace to you, full of grace, our Elohim is with you, you are blessed among women. 29. But when she saw him, she was alarmed at his word, and she was wondering, What is this greeting? 30. And the angel said to her, Do not fear, Miriam, for you have found favor with Jehovah. 31. For behold, you shall conceive, and you shall give birth to a son, and you shall call his name Yeshua. 32. This one will be great, and he will be called the Son of the Highest, and Elohim Jehovah will give to him the throne of David his father. 33. And he will reign over the house of Jacob eternally, and to his kingdom there will not be an end. 34. Miriam said to the angel, How will this be, for no man has known me? 35. The angel answered and said to her, The Spirit of holiness shall come and the power of the Highest shall rest upon you, therefore he who shall be begotten and you shall be holy, and he shall be called the Son of Jehovah. 36. And behold, Elizabeth your cousin also has conceived a son in her old age, and this is the 6th month for her, who is called barren. 37. Because nothing is difficult for Jehovah. 38. Miriam said, Behold, I am the handmaid of Elohim Jehovah, let it be done to me according to your word, and the angel departed from her. 39. But Miriam arose in those days, and she went instantly to the mountains to a city of Judea. 40. And she entered the house of Zechariah, and she invoked the peace of Elizabeth. 41. And it was when Elizabeth heard the greeting of Miriam, the baby in her womb leaped and Elizabeth was filled with the spirit of holiness. 42. And she cried with a loud voice, and she said to Miriam, You are blessed among women, and blessed is the fruit that is in your womb. 43. From where is this to me, that the mother of my Elohim would come to me? 44. For behold, when the voice of your greeting fell on my ear, the baby in my womb leaped for great joy. 45. And blessed is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment to those things that were spoken with her from the presence of Elohim Jehovah. 46. And Miriam said, My soul exalts Elohim Jehovah. 47. And my spirit rejoices in Jehovah my Savior. 48. For he has regarded the lowliness of his maidservant, for behold, from this hour all generations will ascribe blessedness to me. 49. Because he who is mighty has done unto me great things, and holy is his name. 50. And his mercy for posterity and generations is upon those who revere him. 51. He has wrought victory with his arm, and he has scattered the proud with the opinion of their heart. 52. He has cast down the mighty from thrones, and has raised up the lowly. 53. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he has sent away empty-handed. 54. He has helped Israel his servant, and he has remembered his mercy. 55. Just as he spoke with our patriarchs, with Abraham, and with his seed eternally. 56. But Miriam stayed with Elizabeth about 3 months, and she returned to her house. 57. But it came time for Elizabeth to give birth, and she bore a son. 58. And her neighbors heard, and the members of her family, that Jehovah had magnified his mercy to her, and they rejoiced with her. 59. And it was the 8th day, and they came to circumcise the boy, and they were calling him by the name of his father Zechariah. 60. And his mother answered, and she said to them, Not so, but he will be called Johanan. 61. And they said to her, There is no man among your generations, who is called by this name. 62. And they signed to his father how he wished to name him. 63. He requested a tablet, and he wrote and he said, Johanan is his name, and everyone was amazed. 64. And at once his mouth was opened, and his tongue, and he spoke, and blessed Jehovah. 65. And there was awe upon all of their neighbors, and in all the mountains of Judea these things were being spoken. 66. And all those who heard were contemplating in their heart, and they were saying, What indeed will this boy be? And the hand of Elohim Jehovah was with him. 67. And his father Zechariah was filled with the spirit of holiness, and he prophesied, and he said. 68. Blessed is Elohim Jehovah, Yehovah of Israel, who has visited his nation, and he has wrought for its redemption. 69. And he has raised up for us a trumpet of redemption in the house of David his servant. 70. Just as he spoke by the mouth of his holy prophets, that which is from eternity. 71. That he would save us from our enemies, and from the hand of all of them who hate us. 72. And he has wrought his mercy with our fathers, and he has remembered his holy covenants. 73. And the oath that he swore to Abraham our patriarch, that he would grant us. 74. That we would be saved from the hands of our enemies, and we would serve before him without fear. 75. All of our days with justice and in righteousness. 76. And you, boy, you will be called the prophet of the highest, for you will go before the face of Elohim Jehovah, that you may prepare his way. 77. That he may give the knowledge of life to his people and forgiveness of their sins. 78. In the compassions of the mercy of our Yehovah, in which the manifestation from heaven will visit us. 79. To enlighten those who were sitting in darkness and in the shadow of death, that he may direct our feet in the path of peace. 80. But the boy was growing and being strengthened in spirit, and he dwelt in the wilderness until the day of his manifestation unto Israel.
Luke 2. 1. But it occurred in those days that a command also went out from Augustus Caesar, that every nation of his empire would be registered. 2. This census was the first in the government of Quirinus in Syria. 3. And everyone was going to be registered in his own city. 4. But Joseph had come up from Nazareth, a city of Galilee, to Judea to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was from the house and from the lineage of David. 5. With Miriam his bride when she was pregnant, that he might be registered there. 6. And it was, that while they were there, the days were completed for her to give birth. 7. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and she wrapped him in swaddling bands, and she laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them where they might lodge. 8. But there were some shepherds in the region lodging there, and they kept the nightly watch over their flocks. 9. And behold, the angel of Jehovah came to them, and the glory of Elohim Jehovah shone upon them, and they were greatly afraid. 10. And the angel said to them, Do not be afraid, for behold, I proclaim to you great joy which will be to the entire universe. 11. For today, the Savior has been born to you, who is Elohim Jehovah the Messiah, in the city of David. 12. And this is a sign for you. You will find the baby wrapped in swaddling bands and lying in a manger. 13. And suddenly, the great armies of heaven appeared with the angel, while shouting praises to Jehovah, and they were saying. 14. Glory to Jehovah in heaven, and upon earth peace, good news to the children of men. 15. It was that as the angels went from them into heaven, the shepherds spoke one with another and they were saying, Let us go as far as Bethlehem, and we shall see this event that has occurred as Elohim Jehovah has revealed to us. 16. And they came quickly and they found Miriam and Joseph and the baby who was lying in a manger. 17. And when they had seen, they made known the words that had been spoken with them about the boy. 18. And all who heard marveled concerning those things that were spoken to them by the shepherds. 19. But Miriam was keeping all these words and was pondering in her heart. 20. And the shepherds returned as they glorified and praised Jehovah concerning everything, because they had seen and heard just as it had been spoken with them. 21. And when the 8 days were complete that the boy should be circumcised, his name was called Yeshua, which he was called by the angel, before he would have been conceived in the womb. 22. And when the days were fulfilled that they should be purified according to the law of Moses, they carried him to Jerusalem to present him before Elohim Jehovah. 23. As it is written in the law of Elohim Jehovah, every male who opens the womb will be called a holy one of Elohim Jehovah. 24. And to offer a sacrifice, just like that which was said in the law of Elohim Jehovah, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young doves. 25. But one man was there in Jerusalem, whose name was Shimeon, and this man was just and righteous, and he was waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the spirit of holiness was upon him. 26. And it was told him by the spirit of holiness that he would not see death until he would see the Messiah of Elohim Jehovah. 27. This one had come by the spirit of holiness to the temple, and as his parents brought the boy Yeshua to do for him just as it was commanded in the law. 28. He took him in his arms and he blessed Jehovah and said. 29. Now send your servant in peace, my Elohim, according to your word. 30. Behold, my eyes have seen your mercy. 31. Him whom you have prepared in the sight of all the peoples. 32. The light for the revelation of the Gentiles and the glory to your people Israel. 33. But Yosef and his mother were marveling at those things which were spoken about him. 34. And Shimeon blessed them and said to Miriam his mother, Behold, this one is appointed for the fall and the rise of many in Israel, and for a sign of contention. 35. And a lance will pass through into your soul, so that the thoughts of many hearts may be revealed. 36. And Hannah the prophetess, daughter of Phanuel from the tribe of Asher, she was also in her old age, and had lived with her husband 7 years after her virginity. 37. And she had been a widow about 84 years, and she had not departed from the temple, and with fastings and with prayers she was serving by day and night. 38. She was also standing in it at that hour, and she gave thanks to Elohim Jehovah, and was speaking about him with everyone who was waiting for the redemption of Jerusalem. 39. And when they had finished everything according to that which is in the law of Elohim Jehovah, they returned to Galilee to Nazareth their city. 40. But the boy was growing and being strengthened in spirit, and he was filled with wisdom, and the grace of Jehovah was upon him. 41. And every year his people were going to Jerusalem at the feast of Passover. 42. And when he was 12 years old, they went out to the feast just as they had been accustomed. 43. And when the days were past, they were returning, but the boy Yeshua had remained in Jerusalem, and Yosef and his mother did not know it. 44. For they were thinking that he was with the children of their friends, and when they had come a journey of 1 day, they looked for him among their people, and among whoever knew them. 45. And they did not find him, and they returned again to Jerusalem and they were looking for him. 46. After 3 days, they found him in the temple as he sat in the midst of the teachers, and he heard from them, and he was inquiring of them. 47. And all who were listening to him were astounded at his wisdom and at his discourses. 48. And when they saw him, they marveled, and his mother said to him, My son, why have you done this to us? Look, your father and I were looking for you with great anxiety. 49. He said to them, Why were you looking for me? Do you not know that it was fitting for me to be in my father's house? 50. But they did not understand the statement that he spoke to them. 51. And he went down with them and he came to Nazareth, and he was submitted to them, but his mother was keeping all these words in her heart. 52. But Yeshua was growing in his stature and in his wisdom and in favor with Jehovah and the children of men. Luke 3. 1. But in the 15th year of the kingdom of Tiberius Caesar and the government of Pontius Pilate in Judea, when Herodas was the tetrarch in Galilee and Philippus his brother was tetrarch in Iturea, and in the region of Trachona, and Lusania was tetrarch of Abilene. 2. During the high priesthood of Canaan and of Caiaphas, the word of Jehovah came upon Johanan, son of Zechariah, in the wilderness. 3. And he came into the whole region which is around the Jordan, while he was preaching a baptism of repentance for the forgiveness of sins. 4. Just as it is written in the book of the words of Isaiah the prophet, which says, The voice which cries in the wilderness, Prepare the way of Elohim Jehovah, and straighten in the plain a road for our Jehovah. 5. All the valleys will be filled and all the mountains and high places will be leveled, and the rugged place will be smooth and the difficult region a plain. 6. And everybody will see the life of Jehovah. 7. And he said to the crowds who were coming to him to be baptized, Offspring of vipers, who has instructed you to flee from the wrath that is coming? 8. Produce therefore fruits worthy for repentance, and do not start to say within yourselves, Abraham is our father, for I say to you that Jehovah can raise up from these stones children to Abraham. 9. But behold, the axe is laid on the root of the tree. Every tree therefore, which is not producing good fruit is cut down and falls into the fire. 10. And the crowds were asking him and they were saying, What, therefore, shall we do? 11. And he answered and he said to them, Whoever has 2 coats, let him give to him who has not, and whoever has food should do likewise. 12. And tax collectors came also to be baptized, and they were saying to him, Teacher, what shall we do? 13. But he said to them, Do not require anything on top of whatever is commanded you to require. 14. And soldiers were asking him and they were saying, What shall we do also? He said to them, Do harm to no man, do no injustice, and let your wages be sufficient for you. 15. But as the people had been thinking about Johanan, and they were all pondering in their hearts whether he were the Messiah. 16. Johanan answered and said to them, Behold, I am baptizing you in water, but he comes after me, who is mightier than I, the straps of whose shoes I am not worthy to loose. He will baptize you in the spirit of holiness and in fire. 17. He who holds a winnowing fan in his hand and purges his threshing floor, the wheat he gathers into his barns and the chaff he will burn in unquenched fire. 18. Also he taught many other things, and he preached the good news to the people. 19. But Herodas the Tetrarch, because he had been reproved by Johanan on the account of Herodia the wife of Philippus, his brother, and for all the evil that he had done. 20. He added this to all these things and shut Johanan in prison. 21. It happened that when he had baptized all the people, he baptized Yeshua also, and as he prayed, the heavens were opened. 22. And the Spirit of holiness was descending upon him in the form of a body of a dove, and there was a voice from heaven, which said, "You are my Son, the beloved, in whom I am delighted." 23. But Yeshua was about 30 years old, and he was considered the son of Yosef, son of Heled. 24. Son of Mathod, son of Levi, son of Melchi, son of Yanai, son of Yosef. 25. Son of Mattatha, son of Amatz, son of Nahum, son of Hesli, son of Nagai. 26. Son of Moth, son of Mattath, son of Shimei, son of Yosef, son of Yehuda. 27. Son of Johanan, son of Resah, son of Zerubbabel, son of Salathiel, son of Nari. 28. Son of Melchi, son of Addi, son of Qasam, son of Elmadad, son of Er. 29. Son of Yos, son of Eleazar, son of Joram, son of Mathitha, son of Levi. 30. Son of Shimeon, son of Yehuda, son of Yosef, son of Yonam, son of Eliakim. 31. Son of Meliah, son of Aminai, son of Mattatha, son of Nathan, son of David. 32. Son of Ishai, son of Og, son of Boz, son of Salmon, son of Nahshon. 33. Son of Aminadab, son of Aram, son of Hetzron, son of Pharetz, son of Yehuda. 34. Son of Jacob, son of Isaac, son of Abraham, son of Terah, son of Nahor. 35. Son of Serug, son of Arau, son of Phaleg, son of Eber, son of Shalah. 36. Son of Canaan, son of Arphachshad, son of Shem, son of Noah, son of Lamech. 37. Son of Methuselah, son of Enoch, son of Jared, son of Mahalaleel, son of Canaan. 38. Son of Enosh, son of Shath, son of Adam, who was from Jehovah. Luke 4. 1. But Yeshua, being full of the Spirit of holiness, returned from the Jordan, and the Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil for 40 days, and he ate nothing in those days, and when he had finished them, at the end he was hungry. 3. And the devil said to him, "If you are the Son of Jehovah, tell this stone to become bread." 4. Yeshua answered and said to him, "It is written, a man does not live by bread alone, but by every utterance of Jehovah." 5. And Satan took him up to a high mountain, and he showed him all the kingdoms of the earth in a short time. 6. And the devil said to him, "I shall give you all this dominion and its glory, for it is delivered to me, and I give it to whomever I want." 7. If therefore you will worship before me, it will all be yours. 8. Yeshua answered and said to him, "It is written, you shall worship Elo-heem Yehovah your Yehovah, and him only you shall serve." 9. And he brought him to Jerusalem and he stood him on the pinnacle of the temple, and he said to him, "If you are the Son of Jehovah, cast yourself down from here." 10. For it is written, "He will command his angels concerning you that they will protect you." 11. And they will carry you upon their arms, lest you should strike your foot on a stone. 12. But Yeshua answered and he said to him, "It has been said, you shall not tempt Elo-heem Yehovah your Yehovah." 13. And when the devil had finished all his temptations, he departed from his presence for a time. 14. And Yeshua returned in the power of the Spirit to Galilee, and a report went out about him in every place around them. 15. And he was teaching in their assemblies and he was being praised by every person. 16. And he came to Nazareth where he had been raised, and as he was accustomed, he entered the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and he stood up to read. 17. And the scroll of Isaiah the prophet was given to him, and Yeshua opened the scroll, and he found the place where it is written. 18. The Spirit of Elohim Yehovah is upon me, and because of this he has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to heal broken hearts, and to proclaim liberty to captives, vision to the blind, and to restore the crushed with forgiveness. 19. And to proclaim the acceptable era of Elohim Yehovah. 20. And he rolled up the scroll and he gave it to the minister and he went and sat down, but all who were in the synagogues fixed their eyes upon him. 21. And he began to say to them, "Today this scripture is fulfilled in your ears." 22. And all of them were testifying to it, and they were amazed at the words of grace that came out of his mouth. And they were saying, "Is not this Yosef's son?" 23. Yeshua said to them, "Doubtless you will say to me this proverb, Physician, heal yourself, and everything that we are hearing that you have done in Capernaum, do also here in your town." 24. But he said, "Assuredly, I say to you, there is not a prophet who is received in his town." 25. For truly I say to you that many widows were in Israel in the days of Elijah the prophet, when the heavens were shut for 3 years and 6 months, and there was great hunger in all the land. 26. And Elijah was not sent to one of them except to Sarepta of Sidon unto a widow woman. 27. And there were many lepers among Israel in the days of Elisha the prophet, and not one of them was purified except Naaman the Syrian. 28. And when they who were in the synagogue heard these things, they were all filled with rage. 29. And they arose and they thrust him outside of the city, and they brought him unto the ridge of the mountain on which the city was built to cast him from the precipice. 30. But he passed through the midst of them and he departed. 31. And he went down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and he was teaching them on the Sabbath. 32. And they were astonished at his teaching, for his message was with authority. 33. And there was a man in the synagogue who had spirits of filthy demons in him, and he cried with a loud voice. 34. And he said, Let us alone. What business do we have with you, Yeshua Nazarene? Have you come to destroy us? I know you, who you are, the Holy One of Jehovah. 35. And Yeshua rebuked it and he said, Shut your mouth and come out of him. And the demon threw him in the midst, and it came out from him, well it did him no harm. 36. And great astonishment gripped everyone, and they were speaking with one another, and they were saying, What indeed is this message? For with authority and with power he commands the foul spirits, and they come out. 37. And a report about him went out into the whole region that was around them. 38. And when Yeshua went out from the synagogue, he entered the house of Shimeon, and Shimeon's mother-in-law was afflicted with a great fever, and they besought him for her sake. 39. And he stood over her and rebuked her fever, and it left her, and at once she arose and she was waiting on them. 40. But the sun was setting, and they brought to him all of those who were very ill with various diseases, and he laid his hand on each one of them and healed them. 41. And many demons were going out from many as they screamed, and they were saying, You are the Messiah, the Son of Jehovah. And he was rebuking them, and he was not allowing them to say that they knew that he was the Messiah. 42. And at daybreak he went out by himself to a deserted place, and the crowds were seeking him and came to his place, and they held to him that he would not depart from them. 43. But Yeshua said to them, I must proclaim the kingdom of Jehovah to other cities also, it is for this I am sent. 44. And he was preaching in the synagogues of Galilee.
Hebrews 7-10.
Hebrews 7. 1. This Melchizedek is the king of Shalem, priest of the Most High Jehovah, and he met Abraham when he returned from the massacre of kings and blessed him. 2. And Abraham distributed to him a tenth of everything that he had with him, but his name is interpreted, King of Righteousness, and again King of Shalem, which is, King of Peace. 3. Without his father and his mother being written in the genealogies, neither having beginning of his days nor end of his life, but in the likeness of the Son of Jehovah, his priesthood remains for eternity. 4. But see how much greater is this one than the man Abraham, chief of the fathers, to whom he gave the tithe of the best. 5. For those of the sons of Levi who received priesthood had a commandment of the written law to take a tenth part from those people of their brethren, as also they had come forth from the loins of Abraham. 6. But this man who is not written in their genealogies received the tithe from Abraham and blessed him who had received the promise. 7. But without dispute, he who is lesser is blessed by him who is greater than he. 8. And here the children of men who die receive tithes, but there, he about whom the scriptures testify that he lives. 9. And as a man, let us say about him that by Abraham, Levi, who receives tithes, was caused to tithe. 10. For he was yet in the loins of his father when he met Melchizedek. 11. If perfection therefore is by priesthood of Levi, for by it the written law was established to the people, why was another priest needed to arise in the image of Melchizedek? But does it say that he would be in the image of Aaron? 12. But just as there was a change in the priesthood, in this way there was also a change in the law. 13. For he about whom these things were said was born from another tribe, from which a man never ministered at the altar. 14. For it is revealed that our Elohim arose from Judah, about which tribe Moses never said anything concerning priesthood. 15. And moreover, again, it is apparent by this that he said that another priest arises in the image of Melchizedek. 16. He who was not by the law of carnal commandments, but by the power of an indestructible life. 17. For he testified about him, You are the priest for eternity in the image of Melchizedek. 18. But there was a change in the First Testament because of its impotence, and there was no benefit in it. 19. For the written law perfects nothing, but hope, which is greater than it, entered in its place, by which we approach Jehovah. 20. And he confirmed it to us by an oath. 21. For they were priests without an oath, but this one, with an oath, as he said to him by David. Elohim Yehovah has sworn and will not lie, that you are the priest for eternity in the image of Melchizedek. 22. This covenant, of which Yeshua is the guarantor, is entirely better. 23. And there were many priests because they were dying and were not permitted to continue. 24. But this one's priesthood, because he is eternal, does not pass away. 25. And he can give life for eternity to those who come near to Jehovah by him, for he lives always and offers prayers for our sakes. 26. For because this priest also was right for us. pure, without malice and without defilement, who is separate from sin and exalted higher than heaven. 27. And he has no compulsion every day as the chief priests to offer sacrifice, first for his sins and then for the people, for this one did it one time by his life which he offered. 28. For the law establishes weak men as priests, but the word of the oath which was after the law, the Son, who is perfect for eternity. Hebrews 8. 1. But the summit of all these things that we have, the high priest who sits at the right hand of the throne of the majesty in heaven. 2. And he is the minister of the holy place and the true tabernacle, which Jehovah set up, and not man. 3. For every high priest is appointed to offer gifts and sacrifices, and because of this it was right also for this one to have something to offer. 4. And if he were on earth, he would not be a priest, because there have been priests who have been offering gifts, according to what is in the law. 5. Those who serve the form and the shadow of these things that are in heaven, as it was said to Moses when he made the tabernacle, see and do everything by the image that appeared to you on the mountain. 6. Now Yeshua the Messiah has received the ministry which is better than that, as the covenant of which he is made the mediator is better, and it is given with better promises than that. 7. For if the first one had been without fault, then there would have been no place for this second one. 8. For he found fault with them, and he said, Behold, the days are coming, says Elohim Yehovah, and I will perfect a new covenant for the family of the house of Israel, and for the family of the house of Judah. 9. Not like that covenant that I gave to their fathers in the day when I took their hands and brought them from the land of Egypt, because they did not continue in my covenant, I also rejected them, says Elohim Yehovah. 10. But this is the covenant that I shall give to the family of the house of Israel. After those days, says Elohim Yehovah, I shall put my law in their minds and upon their hearts I shall write it, and I shall be to them a Yehovah, and they shall be to me a people. 11. And a man will not teach a citizen of his city, neither his brother, and say, Know Elohim Yehovah, because they shall all know me, from their little ones and unto their elders. 12. And I shall purge them of their evils, and I shall not remember their sins again. 13. In that he said, New, he has made the first old, and that which is outdated and old is near destruction. Hebrews 9. 1. But in the first there was an order of ministry and a worldly sanctuary. 2. For the first tabernacle that was made there had the menorah and the table of showbread, and it was called the holy place. 3. But the inner tabernacle from within the second veil was called the Holy of Holies. 4. And there was in it the golden place of incense and the ark of the covenant, all overlaid with gold, and it had a pot of gold in which was manna and the rod of Aaron which budded, and the tablets of the covenant. 5. And above, the cherubim of glory, which shrouded over the mercy seat, but there is no time for us to speak about each one of these things, which were thus fashioned. 6. But the priests were always entering the outer tabernacle and performing their ministry. 7. But the high priest would enter the inner tabernacle once a year by himself with blood, which he was offering in the place of his soul, and in the place of the evil doing of the people. 8. But by this the Spirit of holiness had taught that the way of holiness had not yet been revealed, as long as the first tabernacle was standing. 9. And this was a symbol for that time in which gifts and sacrifices were offered, which were not able to perfect the conscience of him who offers them. 10. Except in food and drink only, and in various washings, which are ordinances of the flesh that are established until the time of Reformation. 11. But the Messiah who has come has become the high priest of the good things that he did, and he entered the great and perfect tabernacle, which is not made with hands, and was not from these created things. 12. And he did not enter with blood of yearling goats and of calves, but with his own blood he entered the holy place one time, and has achieved eternal redemption. 13. For if the blood of kids and of calves and the ashes of a heifer were sprinkled on those who were defiled, and it sanctified them for the purifying of their flesh. 14. How much more therefore will the blood of the Messiah, who by the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to Jehovah, purify our conscience from dead works that we may serve the living Jehovah? 15. Because of this, he is the mediator of the new covenant, for in his death he is salvation to those who violated the first covenant, that we, those who were called to eternal inheritance, would receive the promise. 16. For where there is a testament, it shows the death of him who made it. 17. But it is only valid concerning one who is dead, because as long as he who made it lives, there is no use for it. 18. Because of this, not even the first was established without blood. 19. For when the entire ordinance which was in the law had been commanded by Moses to all the people, Moses took the blood of a heifer and water with scarlet wool, and hyssop, and sprinkled upon the scrolls and upon all the people. 20. And he said to them, This is the blood of the covenant which was commanded you by Jehovah. 21. Also he sprinkled blood upon the tabernacle and upon all the vessels of the ministry. 22. Because all things are purged by blood in the written law, and without the shedding of blood there is no forgiveness. 23. For it is necessary that these things which are symbols of the heavenly are purified by these things, but the heavenly by better sacrifices than these. 24. For it was not the holy place made by hands that the Messiah entered, and which was the symbol of the real one, but he entered heaven to appear before the face of Jehovah in our place. 25. And not that he should offer himself many times, as the high priest was doing and entered the holy place every year with blood that was not his. 26. Otherwise, he ought to have suffered many times from the beginning of the world, but now in the end of the world, he has offered himself one time to destroy sin by his sacrifice. 27. And just as it is appointed to the children of men to die once, and after their deaths the judgment. 28. In this way also, the Messiah was offered one time, and he slaughtered in his person the sins of the many, but the second time he appears without our sins, for the life of those who expect him. Hebrews 10. 1. For the written law had a shadow in it of good things that were coming. It was not the essence of those matters, because of this, while they were offering those sacrifices every year, they could never perfect those who offered them. 2. For if they had perfected them, doubtless, they would have ceased from their offerings, because their conscience would not have been buffeted by sin once they had themselves been purged. 3. But by those sacrifices they remember their sins every year. 4. For the blood of oxen and of yearling goats cannot purge sins. 5. Because of this, when he entered the universe, he said, sacrifices and offerings you did not want, but you have clothed me with a body. 6. And burnt peace offerings for sins you have not demanded. 7. And I said, behold, I come, because in the beginning of the writings it is written of me, to do your will, O Yehovah. 8. Above, he said, sacrifices and offerings and burnt peace offerings for sins you did not want, those that were offered were by the written law. 9. And afterward he said, behold, I have come to do your will, O Yehovah. In this he abolishes the first to establish the second. 10. For in this, his will, we are made holy in the offering of the body of Yeshua the Messiah, once. 11. For every high priest who has stood and served those with those sacrifices every day was offering those things which were never able to purge sins. 12. But this one offered one sacrifice for the sake of sins, and he sat down at the right side of Jehovah for eternity. 13. And he waits from then on until his enemies are put as a footstool under his feet. 14. For by one offering he has perfected those who are sanctified by him for eternity. 15. But the Spirit of holiness also testifies to us, who says, 16. This is the covenant that I shall give them after those days, says Elohim Yehovah. I shall put my law into their minds, and I shall write it upon their hearts. 17. And their evils and their sins I shall not remember. 18. But where there is forgiveness of sins, no offering for sins is needed. 19. Therefore, brethren, we have boldness in the entrance of the holy place by the blood of Yeshua. 20. And the way of the life who made us new is now within the veil which is his flesh. 21. And we have the high priest over the house of Jehovah. 22. Let us approach therefore with a true heart and the confidence of faith, while our hearts are sprinkled and purified from a wicked conscience, and having bathed our bodies in pure water. 23. And let us grasp firmly the confession of our hope and not waver, for he who has promised us is faithful. 24. And let us pay attention to one another in the encouragement of love and of good works. 25. And we should not be forsaking our meetings, as is the custom for each person, but plead with one another all the more, as long as you see that day drawing near. 26. For if a man shall sin by his will after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there is no sacrifice to be offered afterward for sins. 27. But that terrible judgment is ready and the zeal of fire which consumes the enemies. 28. For if any violated the law of Moses, he would die without mercy by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. 29. How much more do you think he will receive capital punishment, he who has trampled upon the Son of Jehovah, and esteemed the blood of his covenant to be like that of every person, who also was made holy by it, and he has despised the Spirit of grace. 30. For we know him who said, vengeance is mine, and I shall give payment. And again, Elohim Yehovah will judge his people. 31. It is very terrible to fall into the hands of the living Yehovah. 32. Remember therefore the first days in which you received baptism and endured a great contest of suffering with reproach and affliction. 33. And you became a spectacle, and you were also made associates with people who endured these things. 34. And you were grieved concerning those who were imprisoned, and you endured with joy the robbery of your possessions, because you know you have a possession in heaven which is greater and does not pass away. 35. Therefore do not throw away the boldness which you have, for a great reward is coming for it. 36. For you must have patience to do the will of Jehovah and receive the promise. 37. Because there is little time, and very little, when he who is coming will come and will not delay. 38. But the righteous one shall live by my faith, and if he gives it up, my soul is not pleased with him. 39. But we are not of despondency which leads to destruction, but of the faith that imparts to us our soul.
Numbers 18, 22-25.
Numbers 18. 1. And Elohim spoke to Aaron, saying, Thou and thy sons and thy father's house shall bear the sins of the holy things, and thou and thy sons shall bear the iniquity of your priesthood. 2. And take to thyself thy brethren the tribe of Levi, the family of thy father, and let them be joined to thee, and let them minister to thee, and thou and thy sons with thee shall minister before the tabernacle of witness. 3. And they shall keep thy charges, and the charges of the tabernacle, only they shall not approach the holy vessels and the altar, so both they and you shall not die. 4. And they shall be joined to thee, and shall keep the charges of the tabernacle of witness, in all the services of the tabernacle, and a stranger shall not approach to thee. 5. And ye shall keep the charges of the holy things, and the charges of the altar, and so there shall not be anger among the children of Israel. 6. And I have taken your brethren the Levites out of the midst of the children of Israel, a present given to Elohim, to minister in the services of the tabernacle of witness. 7. And thou and thy sons after thee shall keep up your priestly ministration, according to the whole manner of the altar, and that which is within the veil, and ye shall minister in the services as the office of your priesthood, and the stranger that comes near shall die. 8. And Elohim said to Aaron, And, behold, I have given you the charge of the firstfruits of all things consecrated to me by the children of Israel, and I have given them to thee as an honor, and to thy sons after thee for a perpetual ordinance. 9. And let this be to you from all the holy things that are consecrated to me, even the burnt offerings, from all their gifts, and from all their sacrifices, and from every trespass offering of theirs, and from all their sin offerings, whatever things they give to me of all their holy things, they shall be thine and thy sons. 10. In the most holy place shall ye eat them, every male shall eat them, thou and thy sons. They shall be holy to thee. 11. And this shall be to you of the firstfruits of their gifts, of all the wave offerings of the children of Israel, to thee have I given them, and to thy sons and thy daughters with thee, a perpetual ordinance, every clean person in thy house shall eat them. 12. Every first offering of oil, and every first offering of wine, their firstfruits of corn, whatsoever they may give to Elohim, to thee, have I given them. 13. All the firstfruits that are in their land, whatsoever they shall offer to Elohim, shall be thine. Every clean person in thy house shall eat them. 14. Every devoted thing among the children of Israel shall be thine. 15. And everything that opens the womb of all flesh, whatsoever they bring to Elohim, whether man or beast, shall be thine. Only the firstborn of men shall be surely redeemed, and thou shalt redeem the firstborn of unclean cattle. 16. And the redemption of them shall be from a month old, their valuation of 5 shekels, it is 20 oboli, according to the holy shekel. 17. But thou shalt not redeem the firstborn of calves and the firstborn of sheep and the firstborn of goats, they are holy. And thou shalt pour their blood upon the altar, and thou shalt offer the fat as a burnt offering for a smell of sweet savor to Elohim. 18. And the flesh shall be thine, as also the breast of the wave offering, and as the right shoulder, it shall be thine. 19. Every special offering of the holy things, whatsoever the children of Israel shall specially offer to Elohim, I have given to thee and to thy sons and to thy daughters with thee, a perpetual ordinance. It is a covenant of salt forever before Elohim, for thee and thy seed after thee. 20. And Elohim said to Aaron, Thou shalt have no inheritance in their land, neither shalt thou have any portion among them, for I am thy portion and thine inheritance in the midst of the children of Israel. 21. And, behold, I have given to the sons of Levi every tithe in Israel for an inheritance for their services, whereinsoever they perform ministry in the tabernacle of witness. 22. And the children of Israel shall no more draw nigh to the tabernacle of witness to incur fatal guilt. 23. And the Levite himself shall perform the service of the tabernacle of witness, and they shall bear their iniquities, it is a perpetual statute throughout their generations, and in the midst of the children of Israel, they shall not receive an inheritance. 24. Because I have given as a distinct portion to the Levites for an inheritance the tithes of the children of Israel, whatsoever they shall offer to Elohim, therefore I said to them, in the midst of the children of Israel, they shall have no inheritance. 25. And Elohim spoke to Moses, saying, 26. Thou shalt also speak to the Levites, and shalt say to them, If ye take the tithe from the children of Israel, which I have given you from them for an inheritance, then shall ye separate from it a heave offering to Elohim, a tenth of the tenth. 27. And your heave offerings shall be reckoned to you as corn from the floor, and an offering from the wine press. 28. So shall ye also separate them from all the offerings of Elohim out of all your tithes, whatsoever ye shall receive from the children of Israel, and ye shall give of them an offering to Elohim to Aaron the priest. 29. Of all your gifts ye shall offer an offering to Elohim, and of every firstfruit the consecrated part from it. 30. And thou shalt say to them, When ye shall offer the firstfruits from it, then shall it be reckoned to the Levites as produce from the threshing floor, and as produce from the wine press. 31. And ye shall eat it in any place, ye and your families, for this is your reward for your services in the tabernacle of witness. 32. And ye shall not bear sin by reason of it, for ye shall have offered an offering of first fruits from it, and ye shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, that ye die not. Numbers 22. 1. And the children of Israel departed, and encamped on the west of Moab by Jordan toward Jericho. 2. And when Balak son of Sephor saw all that Israel did to the Amorite. 3. Then Moab feared the people exceedingly because they were many, and Moab was grieved before the face of the children of Israel. 4. And Moab said to the elders of Madian, Now shall this assembly lick up all that are round about us, as a calf would lick up the green herbs of the field. And Balak son of Sephor was king of Moab at that time. 5. And he sent ambassadors to Balaam the son of Beer, to Phathura, which is on a river of the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, Behold, a people is come out of Egypt, and behold it has covered the face of the earth, and it is encamped close to me. 6. And now come, curse me this people, for it is stronger than we, if we may be able to smite some of them, and I will cast them out of the land. For I know that whomsoever thou dost bless, they are blessed, and whomsoever thou dost curse, they are cursed. 7. And the elders of Moab went, and the elders of Madian, and their divining instruments were in their hands, and they came to Balaam, and spoke to him the words of Balak. 8. And he said to them, Tarry here the night, and I will answer you the things which Elohim shall say to me. And the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam. 9. And JEHOVAH came to Balaam, and said to him, Who are these men with thee? 10. And Balaam said to JEHOVAH, Balak son of Sephor, king of Moab, sent them to me, saying, 11. Behold, a people has come forth out of Egypt, and has covered the face of the land, and it is encamped near to me, and now come, curse it for me, if indeed I shall be able to smite it, and cast it out of the land. 12. And JEHOVAH said to Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them, neither shalt thou curse the people, for they are blessed. 13. And Balaam rose up in the morning, and said to the princes of Balak, Depart quickly to your lord, JEHOVAH does not permit me to go with you. 14. And the princes of Moab rose, and came to Balak, and said, Balaam will not come with us. 15. And Balak yet again sent more princes and more honorable than they. 16. And they came to Balaam, and they say to him, Thus says Balak the son of Sephor, I beseech thee, delay not to come to me. 17. For I will greatly honor thee, and will do for thee whatsoever thou shalt say. Come then, curse me this people. 18. And Balaam answered and said to the princes of Balak, If Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I shall not be able to go beyond the word of Elohim JEHOVAH, to make it little or great in my mind. 19. And now do ye also tarry here this night, and I shall know what Elohim will yet say to me. 20. And JEHOVAH came to Balaam by night, and said to him, If these men are come to call thee, rise and follow them. Nevertheless the word which I shall speak to thee, it shalt thou do. 21. And Balaam rose up in the morning, and saddled his ass, and went with the princes of Moab. 22. And JEHOVAH was very angry because he went, and the angel of Elohim rose up to withstand him. Now he had mounted his ass, and his 2 servants were with him. 23. And when the ass saw the angel of JEHOVAH standing opposite in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand, then the ass turned aside out of the way, and went into the field, and Balaam smote the ass with his staff to direct her in the way. 24. And the angel of Elohim stood in the avenues of the vines, a fence being on this side and a fence on that. 25. And when the ass saw the angel of JEHOVAH, she thrust herself against the wall, and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smote her again. 26. And the angel of Elohim went farther, and came and stood in a narrow place where it was impossible to turn to the right or the left. 27. And when the ass saw the angel of JEHOVAH, she lay down under Balaam, and Balaam was angry, and struck the ass with his staff. 28. And JEHOVAH opened the mouth of the ass, and she says to Balaam, What have I done to thee, that thou hast smitten me this 3rd time? 29. And Balaam said to the ass, Because thou hast mocked me, and if I had had a sword in my hand, I would now have killed thee. 30. And the ass says to Balaam, Am not I thine ass on which thou hast ridden since thy youth till this day? Did I ever do thus to thee, utterly disregarding thee? And he said, No. 31. And JEHOVAH opened the eyes of Balaam, and he sees the angel of Elohim withstanding him in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand, and he stooped down, and worshipped on his face. 32. And the angel of JEHOVAH said to him, Why hast thou smitten thine ass this 3rd time? And, behold, I came out to withstand thee, for thy way was not seemly before me. And when the ass saw me, she turned away from me this 3rd time. 33. And, if she had not turned out of the way, surely now, I should have slain thee, and should have saved her alive. 34. And Balaam said to the angel of Elohim, I have sinned, for I did not know that thou wert standing opposite in the way to meet me. And now if it shall not be pleasing to thee for me to go on, I will return. 35. And the angel of Elohim said to Balaam, Go with the men, nevertheless the word which I shall speak to thee, that thou shalt take heed to speak. And Balaam went with the princes of Balak. 36 And when Balak heard that Balaam was come, he went out to meet him, to a city of Moab, which is on the borders of Arnon, which is on the extreme part of the borders. 37 And Balak said to Balaam, Did I not send to thee to call thee? Why hast thou not come to me? Shall I not indeed be able to honor thee? 38 And Balaam said to Balak, Behold, I am now come to thee, shall I be able to say anything, the word which JEHOVAH shall put into my mouth, that I shall speak? 39 And Balaam went with Balak, and they came to the cities of streets. 40 And Balak offered sheep and calves, and sent to Balaam, and to his princes who were with him. 41 And it was morning, and Balak took Balaam, and brought him up to the pillar of Baal, and shewed him thence a part of the people. Numbers 23. 1. And Balaam said to Balak, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 calves, and 7 rams. 2. And Balak did as Balaam told him, and he offered up a calf and a ram on every altar. 3. And Balaam said to Balak, Stand by thy sacrifice, and I will go and see if JEHOVAH will appear to me and meet me, and the word which he shall shew me, I will report to thee. And Balak stood by his sacrifice. 4. And Balaam went to inquire of JEHOVAH, and he went straight forward, and JEHOVAH appeared to Balaam, and Balaam said to him, I have prepared the 7 altars, and have offered a calf and a ram on every altar. 5. And JEHOVAH put a word into the mouth of Balaam, and said, Thou shalt return to Balak, and thus shalt thou speak. 6. And he returned to him, and moreover he stood over his whole burnt offerings, and all the princes of Moab with him, and the spirit of JEHOVAH came upon him. 7. And he took up his parable, and said, Balak king of Moab sent for me out of Mesopotamia, out of the mountains of the east, saying, Come, curse me Jacob, and come, call for a curse for me upon Israel. 8. How can I curse whom Elohim curses not? Or how can I devote whom JEHOVAH devotes not? 9. For from the top of the mountains I shall see him, and from the hills I shall observe him. Behold, the people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among the nations. 10. Who has exactly calculated the seed of Jacob, and who shall number the families of Israel? Let my soul die with the souls of the righteous, and let my seed be as their seed. 11. And Balak said to Balaam, What hast thou done to me? I called thee to curse my enemies, and behold thou hast greatly blessed them. 12. And Balaam said to Balak, Whatsoever Elohim shall put into my mouth, shall I not take heed to speak this? 13. And Balak said to him, Come yet with me to another place where thou shalt not see the people, but only thou shalt see a part of them, and shalt not see them all, and curse me them from thence. 14. And he took him to a high place of the field to the top of the quarried rock, and he built there 7 altars, and offered a calf and a ram on every altar. 15. And Balaam said to Balak, Stand by thy sacrifice, and I will go to inquire of JEHOVAH. 16. And JEHOVAH met Balaam, and put a word into his mouth, and said, Return to Balak, and thus shalt thou speak. 17. And he returned to him. And he also was standing by his whole burnt sacrifice, and all the princes of Moab with him, and Balak said to him, What has Elohim spoken? 18. And he took up his parable, and said, Rise up, Balak, and hear, hearken as a witness, thou son of Sepher. 19. JEHOVAH is not as man to waver, nor as the son of man to be threatened, shall he say and not perform? Shall he speak and not keep to his word? 20. Behold, I have received commandment to bless. I will bless, and not turn back. 21. There shall not be trouble in Jacob, neither shall sorrow be seen in Israel. Elohim as JEHOVAH is with him, the glories of rulers are in him. 22. It was JEHOVAH who brought him out of Egypt, he has as it were the glory of a unicorn. 23. For there is no divination in Jacob, nor enchantment in Israel, in season it shall be told to Jacob and Israel what JEHOVAH shall perform. 24. Behold, the people shall rise up as a lion's whelp, and shall exalt himself as a lion, he shall not lie down till he have eaten the prey, and he shall drink the blood of the slain. 25. And Balak said to Balaam, Neither curse the people at all for me, nor bless them at all. 26. And Balaam answered and said to Balak, Spoke I not to thee, saying, Whatsoever thing JEHOVAH shall speak to me, that will I do. 27. And Balak said to Balaam, Come and I will remove thee to another place, if it shall please JEHOVAH, and curse me them from thence. 28. And Balak took Balaam to the top of Fogar, which extends to the wilderness. 29. And Balaam said to Balak, Build me here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 calves, and 7 rams. 30. And Balak did as Balaam told him, and offered a calf and a ram on every altar. Numbers 24. 1. And when Balaam saw that it pleased JEHOVAH to bless Israel, he did not go according to his custom to meet the omens, but turned his face toward the wilderness. 2. And Balaam lifted up his eyes, and sees Israel encamped by their tribes, and the spirit of JEHOVAH came upon him. 3. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam son of Beer says, The man who sees truly says, for he says who hears the oracle of the Mighty One, who saw a vision of JEHOVAH in sleep, his eyes were opened. 5. How goodly are thy habitations, Jacob, and thy tents, Israel. 6. As shady groves, and as gardens by a river, and as tents which Jehovah pitched, and as cedars by the waters. 7. There shall come a man out of his seed, and he shall rule over many nations, and the kingdom of God shall be exalted, and his kingdom shall be increased. 8. Jehovah led him out of Egypt, he has as it were the glory of a unicorn. He shall consume the nations of his enemies, and he shall drain their marrow, and with his darts he shall shoot through the enemy. 9. He lay down, he rested as a lion, and as a young lion, who shall stir him up? They that bless thee are blessed, and they that curse thee are cursed. 10. And Balak was angry with Balaam, and clapped his hands together, and Balak said to Balaam, I call thee to curse my enemy, and behold thou hast decidedly blessed him this third time. 11. Now therefore flee to thy place. I said, I will honor thee, but now Elohim has deprived thee of glory. 12. And Balaam said to Balak, Did I not speak to thy messengers also whom thou sentest to me, saying, 13. If Balak should give me his house full of silver and gold, I shall not be able to transgress the word of Elohim, to make it good or bad by myself, whatsoever things Jehovah shall say, them will I speak. 14. And now, behold, I return to my place, come, I will advise thee of what this people shall do to thy people in the last days. 15. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beer says, the man who sees truly says. 16. Hearing the oracles of Jehovah, receiving knowledge from the Most High, and having seen a vision of Jehovah in sleep, his eyes were opened. 17. I will point to him, but not now, I bless him, but he draws not near. A star shall rise out of Jacob, a man shall spring out of Israel, and shall crush the princes of Moab, and shall spoil all the sons of Seth. 18. And Edom shall be an inheritance, and Esau his enemy shall be an inheritance of Israel, and Israel wrought valiantly. 19. And one shall arise out of Jacob, and destroy out of the city him that escapes. 20. And having seen Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek is the first of the nations, yet his seed shall perish. 21. And having seen the Kenite, he took up his parable and said, Thy dwelling place is strong, yet though thou shouldest put thy nest in a rock. 22. And, though Beer should have a skillfully contrived hiding place, the Assyrians shall carry thee away captive. 23. And he looked upon Og, and took up his parable and said, Oh, who shall live, when Jehovah shall do these things? 24. And one shall come forth from the hands of the Scythians, and shall afflict Assur, and shall afflict the Hebrews, and they shall perish together. 25. And Balaam rose up and departed and returned to his place, and Balak went to his own home. Numbers 25. 1. And Israel sojourned in Santon, and the people profaned itself by going a-whoring after the daughters of Moab. 2. And they called them to the sacrifices of their idols, and the people ate of their sacrifices, and worshipped their idols. 3. And Israel consecrated themselves to Baal-fegar, and Elo-heem was very angry with Israel. 4. And Elo-heem said to Moses, Take all the princes of the people, and make them examples of judgment for Elo-heem in the face of the sun, and the anger of Elo-heem shall be turned away from Israel. 5. And Moses said to the tribes of Israel, Slay ye every one his friend that is consecrated to Baal-fegar. 6. And, behold, a man of the children of Israel came and brought his brother to a Midianitish woman before Moses, and before all the congregation of the children of Israel, and they were weeping at the door of the tabernacle of witness. 7. And Phinehas the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it, and rose out of the midst of the congregation, and took a javelin in his hand. 8. And went in after the Israelitish man into the chamber, and pierced them both through, both the Israelitish man, and the woman through her womb, and the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. 9. And those that died in the plague were 24,000. 10. And Elohim spoke to Moses, saying, 11. Phinehas the son of Eleazar the son of Aaron the priest has caused my wrath to cease from the children of Israel, when I was exceedingly jealous among them, and I did not consume the children of Israel in my jealousy. 12. Thus do thou say to him, Behold, I give him a covenant of peace. 13. And he and his seed after him shall have a perpetual covenant of priesthood, because he was zealous for his Jehovah, and made atonement for the children of Israel. 14. Now the name of the smitten Israelitish man, who was smitten with the Midianitish woman was Zambri son of Salmon, prince of a house of the tribe of Simeon. 15. And the name of the Midianitish woman who was smitten was Chasbi, daughter of Sur, a prince of the nation of Amath. It is a chief house among the people of Madian. 16. And Elohim spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, 17. Plague the Midianites as enemies, and smite them. 18. For they are enemies to you by the treachery wherein they ensnare you through Fogar, and through Chasbi their sister, daughter of a prince of Madian, who was smitten in the day of the plague because of Fogar.
Jeremiah 38-49.
Jeremiah 38. 1. And Sophanias the son of Nathan, and Godalias the son of Pashur, and Jochil the son of Semelias, heard the words which Jeremiah spoke to the people, saying, 2. Thus saith Elohim, He that remains in this city shall die by the sword, and by the famine. But he that goes out to the Chaldeans shall live, and his soul shall be given him for a found treasure, and he shall live. 3. For thus saith Elohim, this city shall certainly be delivered into the hands of the host of the king of Babylon, and they shall take it. 4. And they said to the king, let that man, we pray thee, be slain, for he weakens the hands of the fighting men that are left in the city, and the hands of all the people, speaking to them according to these words. For this man does not prophesy peace to this people, but evil. 5. Then the king said, behold, he is in your hands. For the king could not resist them. 6. And they cast him into the dungeon of Melchias the king's son, which was in the court of the prison, and they let him down into the pit. And there was no water in the pit, but mire. And he was in the mire. 7. And of Demelich the Ethiopian heard, now he was in the king's household, that they had put Jeremias into the dungeon, and the king was in the gate of Benjamin. 8. And he went forth to him, and spoke to the king and said, 9. Thou hast done evil in what thou hast done to slay this man with hunger. For there is no more bread in the city. 10. And the king commanded of Demelich, saying, take with thee hence 30 men, and bring him up out of the dungeon, that he die not. 11. So Demelich took the men and went into the underground part of the king's house, and took thence old rags and old ropes, and threw them to Jeremias into the dungeon. 12. And he said, put these under the ropes. And Jeremias did so. 13. And they drew him with the ropes, and lifted him out of the dungeon. And Jeremias remained in the court of the prison. 14. Then the king sent, and called him to himself into the house of the Celestial, which was in the house of Elo-heem. And the king said to him, I will ask thee a question, and I pray thee hide nothing from me. 15. And Jeremias said to the king, if I tell thee, wilt thou not certainly put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, thou wilt not at all hearken to me. 16. And the king swore to him, saying, as Elohim lives who gave us the soul, I will not slay thee, neither will I give thee into the hands of these men. 17. And Jeremias said to him, thus saith Elohim, if thou wilt indeed go forth to the captains of the king of Babylon, thy soul shall live, and this city shall certainly not be burnt with fire, and thou shalt live, and thy house. 18. But if thou wilt not go forth, this city shall be delivered into the hands of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt by no means escape. 19. And the king said to Jeremias, I consider the Jews that have gone over to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hands, and they mock me. 20. And Jeremias said, they shall in no wise deliver thee up. Hear the word of Elohim which I speak to thee, and it shall be better for thee, and thy soul shall live. 21. But if thou wilt not go forth, this is the word which Elohim has shewn me. 22. And, behold, all the women that are left in the house of the king of Judah were brought forth to the princes of the king of Babylon, and they said, the men who were at peace with thee have deceived thee, and will prevail against thee, and they shall cause thy foot to slide and fail, they have turned back from thee. 23. And they shall bring forth thy wives and thy children to the Chaldeans. And thou shalt by no means escape, for thou shalt be taken by the hand of the king of Babylon, and this city shall be burnt. 24. Then the king said to him, let no man know any of these words, and certainly thou shalt not die. 25. And if the princes shall hear that I have spoken to thee, and they come to thee, and say to thee, tell us, what said the king to thee? Hide it not from us, and we will in no wise slay thee, and what said the king to thee? 26. Then thou shalt say to them, I brought my supplication before the presence of the king, that he would not send me back into the house of Jonathan, that I should die there. 27. And all the princes came to Jeremias, and asked him. And he told them according to all these words, which the king had commanded him. And they were silent, because the word of Elohim was not heard. 28. And Jeremias remained in the court of the prison, until the time when Jerusalem was taken. Jeremiah 39. 1. And it came to pass in the 9th month of Sedekias king of Judah that Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon came, and all his host, against Jerusalem, and they besieged it. 2. And in the 11th year of Sedekias, in the 4th month, on the 9th day of the month, the city was broken up. 3. And all the leaders of the king of Babylon went in, and sat in the middle gate, Marganasar, and Samagath, and Abusachar, and Abusaris, Nagargas, Nasarabimath, and the rest of the leaders of the king of Babylon. 14. And they sent, and took Jeremias out of the court of the prison, and gave him in charge to Godalias the son of Achikam, the son of Saphan. And they brought him out, and he sat in the midst of the people. 15. And the word of Elohim came to Jeremias in the court of the prison, saying, 16. Go and say to Demelich the Ethiopian, thus said Elohim Yehovah of Israel, behold, I will bring my words upon this city for evil, and not for good. 17. But I will save thee in that day, and I will by no means deliver thee into the hands of the men before whom thou art afraid. 18. For I will surely save thee, and thou shalt by no means fall by the sword, and thou shalt find thy life, because thou didst trust in me, saith Elohim. Jeremiah 40. 1. The word that came from Elohim to Jeremias, after that Nebuzaradan the captain of the guard, had let him go out of Ramah, when he had taken him in manacles in the midst of the captivity of Judah, even those who were carried to Babylon. 2. And the chief captain of the guard took him, and said to him, Elohim thy Yehovah has pronounced all these evils upon this place. 3. And Elohim has done it, because ye sinned against him, and hearkened not to his voice. 4. Behold, I have loosed thee from the manacles that were upon thine hands. If it seem good to thee to go with me to Babylon, then will I set mine eyes upon thee. 5. But if not, depart, return to Godalias the son of Achikam, the son of Saphan, whom the king of Babylon has appointed governor in the land of Judah, and dwell with him in the midst of the people in the land of Judah. To whatsoever places it seems good in thine eyes to go, do thou even go. And the captain of the guard made him presents, and let him go. 6. And he came to Godalias to Messepha, and dwelt in the midst of his people that was left in the land. 7. And all the leaders of the host that was in the country, they and their men, heard that the king of Babylon had appointed Godalias governor in the land, and they committed to him the men and their wives, whom Nebuchadnezzar had not removed to Babylon. 8. And there came to Godalias to Messepha Ismael the son of Nethanias, and Jonan son of Kari, and Sarias the son of Thanamith, and the sons of Joth and a Tophathite, and Azonias son of the Machathite, they and their men. 9. And Godalias swore to them and to their men, saying, Be not afraid before the children of the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land, and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be better for you. 10. And, behold, I dwell in your presence at Messepha, to stand before the Chaldeans who shall come against you. And ye gather grapes, and fruits, and oil, and put them into your vessels, and dwell in the cities which ye have obtained possession of. 11. And all the Jews that were in Moab, and among the children of Ammon, and those that were in Idumea, and those that were in all the rest of the country, heard that the king of Babylon had granted a remnant to Judah, and that he had appointed over them Godalias the son of Achikam. 12. And they came to Godalias into the land of Judah, to Messepha, and gathered grapes, and very much summer fruit, and oil. 13. And Jonan the son of Kari, and all the leaders of the host, who were in the fields, came to Godalias to Messepha. 14. And said to him, Dost thou indeed know that King Belisa son of Ammon has sent Ismael to thee to slay thee? But Godalias believed them not. 15. And Jonan said to Godalias secretly in Messepha, I will go now and smite Ismael, and let no man know it, lest he slay thee, and all the Jews that are gathered to thee be dispersed, and the remnant of Judah perish. 16. But Godalias said to Jonan, Do not the thing, for thou speakest lies concerning Ismael. Jeremiah 41. 1. Now it came to pass in the 7th month that Ismael the son of Nethanias, the son of Elisa of the seed royal, came, and 10 men with him, to Godalias to Messepha. And they ate bread there together. 2. And Ismael rose up, and the 10 men that were with him, and smote Godalias, whom the king of Babylon had appointed governor over the land. 3. And all the Jews that were with him in Messepha, and all the Chaldeans that were found there. 4. And it came to pass on the 2nd day after he had smitten Godalias, and no man knew of it. 5. That there came men from Sichem, and from Salem, and from Samaria, even 80 men, having their beards shaven, and their clothes rent, and beating their breasts, and they had manna and frankincense in their hands, to bring them into the house of Elohim. 6. And Ismael went out to meet them, and they went on and wept. And he said to them, Come in to Godalias. 7. And it came to pass, when they had entered into the midst of the city, that he slew them and cast them into a pit. 8. But 10 men were found there, and they said to Ismael, Slay us not. For we have treasures in the field, wheat and barley, honey and oil. So he passed by, and slew them not in the midst of their brethren. 9. Now the pit into which Ismael cast all whom he smote, is the great pit, which King Asa had made for fear of Baasha king of Israel. Even this Ismael filled with slain men. 10. And Ismael brought back all the people that were left in Messepha, and the king's daughter, whom the captain of the guard had committed in charge to Godalias the son of Achikam. And he went away beyond the children of Ammon. 11. And Jonan the son of Kari, and all the leaders of the host that were with him, heard of all the evil deeds which Ismael had done. 12. And they brought all their army, and went to fight against him, and found him near much water in Gabaon. 13. And it came to pass, when all the people that was with Ismael saw Jonan, and the leaders of the host that was with him. 14. That they returned to Jonan. 15. But Ismael escaped with 8 men and went to the children of Ammon. 16. And Jonan, and all the leaders of the host that were with him, took all the remnant of the people, whom he had brought back from Ismael, mighty men in war, and the women, and the other property, and the eunuchs, whom they had brought back from Gabaon. 17. And they departed, and dwelt in Gabrich Ammon, that is by Bethlehem, to go into Egypt, for fear of the Chaldeans. 18. For they were afraid of them, because Ismael had smitten Godalias, whom the king of Babylon made governor in the land.
Jeremiah 42. 1. Then came all the leaders of the host, and Jonan, and Azarias the son of Maaseias, and all the people great and small. 2. To Jeremiah the prophet, and said to him, Let now our supplication come before thy face, and pray thou to Elohim thy Yehovah for this remnant, for we are left few out of many, as thine eyes see. 3. And let Elohim thy Yehovah declare to us the way wherein we should walk, and the thing which we should do. 4. And Jeremiah said to them, I have heard you, behold, I will pray for you to Elohim our Yehovah, according to your words, and it shall come to pass, that whatsoever word Elohim Yehovah shall answer, I will declare it to you, I will not hide anything from you. 5. And they said to Jeremiah, Let Elohim be between us for a just and faithful witness, if we do not according to every word which Elohim shall send to us. 6. And whether it be good, or whether it be evil, we will hearken to the voice of Elohim our Yehovah, to whom we send thee, that it may be well with us, because we shall hearken to the voice of Elohim our Yehovah. 7. And it came to pass, after 10 days, that the word of Elohim came to Jeremiah. 8. And he called Jonan, and the leaders of the host, and all the people from the least even to the greatest. 9. And he said to them, Thus saith Elohim. 10. If you will indeed dwell in this land, I will build you, and will not pull you down, but will plant you, and in no wise pluck you up, for I have ceased from the calamities which I brought upon you. 11. Be not afraid of the king of Babylon, of whom ye are afraid, be not afraid of him, saith Elohim, for I am with you, to deliver you, and save you out of their hand. 12. And I will grant you mercy, and pity you, and will restore you to your land. 13. But if ye say, We will not dwell in this land, that we may not hearken to the voice of Elohim. 14. For we will go into the land of Egypt, and we shall see no war, and shall not hear the sound of a trumpet, and we shall not hunger for bread, and there we will dwell. 15. Then hear the word of Elohim, thus saith Elohim. 16. If ye set your face toward Egypt, and go in there to dwell, then it shall be that the sword which ye fear shall find you in the land of Egypt, and the famine to which ye have regard, shall overtake you, coming after you in Egypt, and there ye shall die. 17. And all the men, and all the strangers who have set their face toward the land of Egypt to dwell there, shall be consumed by the sword, and by the famine, and there shall not one of them escape from the evils which I bring upon them. 18. For thus saith Elohim, As my wrath has dropped upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem, so shall my wrath drop upon you, when ye have entered into Egypt, and ye shall be a desolation, and under the power of others, and a curse and a reproach, and ye shall no more see this place. 19. These are the words which Elohim has spoken concerning you the remnant of Judah, enter ye not into Egypt, and now know ye for a certainty. 20. That ye have wrought wickedness in your hearts, when ye sent me, saying, Pray thou for us to Elohim, and according to all that Elohim shall speak to thee we will do. 21. And ye have not hearkened to the voice of Elohim, with which he sent me to you. 22. Now therefore ye shall perish by sword and by famine, in the place which ye desire to go into to dwell there. Jeremiah 43. 1. And it came to pass, when Jeremiah ceased speaking to the people all the words of Elohim, for which Elohim had sent him to them even all these words. 2. That Azariah son of Messiah spoke, and Jonan, the son of Kari, and all the men who had spoken to Jeremiah, saying it is false, Elohim has not sent thee to us, saying, Enter not into Egypt to dwell there. 3. But Baruch the son of Neriah sets thee against us, that thou mayest deliver us into the hands of the Chaldeans, to kill us, and that we should be carried away captives to Babylon. 4. So Jonan, and all the leaders of the host, and all the people, refused to hearken to the voice of Elohim, to dwell in the land of Judah. 5. And Jonan, and all the leaders of the host, to call the remnant of Judah, who had returned to dwell in the land. 6. The mighty men, and the women, and the children that were left, and the daughters of the king, and the souls which Nebuzaradan left with Godolias the son of Achikam and Jeremiah the prophet, and Baruch the son of Neriah. 7. And they came into Egypt, for they hearkened not to the voice of Elohim, and they entered into Taphnes. 8. And the word of Elohim came to Jeremiah in Taphnes, saying, 9. Take thee great stones, and hide them in the entrance, at the gate of the house of Pharaoh in Taphnes, in the sight of the men of Judah. 10. And thou shalt say, Thus has Elohim said, Behold, I will send, and will bring Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, and he shall place his throne upon these stones which thou hast hidden, and he shall lift up weapons against them. 11. And he shall enter in, and smite the land of Egypt, delivering some for death to death, and some for captivity to captivity, and some for the sword to the sword. 12. And he shall kindle a fire in the houses of their gods, and shall burn them, and shall carry them away captives, and shall search the land of Egypt, as a shepherd searches his garment, and he shall go forth in peace. 13. And he shall break to pieces the pillars of Heliopolis that are in On, and shall burn their houses with fire.
Jeremiah 44. 1. The word that came to Jeremias for all the Jews dwelling in the land of Egypt, and for those settled in Magdolo and in Taphnes, and in the land of Bethura, saying, 2. Thus has ELOHEEM Yehovah of Israel said, Ye have seen all the evils which I have brought upon Jerusalem, and upon the cities of Judah, and, behold, they are desolate without inhabitants. 3. Because of their wickedness, which they have wrought to provoke me by going to burn incense to other gods, whom ye knew not. 4. Yet I sent to you my servants the prophets early in the morning, and I sent, saying, Do not ye this abominable thing which I hate. 5. But they hearkened not to me, and inclined not their ear to turn from their wickedness, so as not to burn incense to strange gods. 6. So mine anger and my wrath dropped upon them, and was kindled in the gates of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem, and they became a desolation and a waste, as at this day. 7. And now thus has Elohim Almighty said, Wherefore do ye commit these great evils against your souls? To cut off man and woman of you, infant and suckling from the midst of Judah, to the end that not one of you should be left. 8. By provoking me with the works of your hands, to burn incense to other gods in the land of Egypt, into which ye entered to dwell there, that ye might be cut off, and that ye might become a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth. 9. Have ye forgotten the sins of your fathers, and the sins of the kings of Judah, and the sins of your princes, and the sins of your wives, which they wrought in the land of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem? 10. And have not ceased even to this day, and they have not kept to my ordinances, which I set before their fathers. 11. Therefore thus saith Elohim, Behold I do set my face against you. 12. To destroy all the remnant that are in Egypt, and they shall fall by the sword, and by famine, and shall be consumed small and great. And they shall be for reproach, and for destruction, and for a curse. 13. And I will visit them that dwell in the land of Egypt, as I have visited Jerusalem, with sword and with famine. 14. And there shall not one be preserved of the remnant of Judah that sojourn in the land of Egypt, to return to the land of Judah, to which they hope in their hearts to return. They shall not return, but only they that escape. 15. Then all the men that knew that their wives burned incense, and all the women, a great multitude, and all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, in Bethura, answered Jeremias, saying, 16. As for the word which thou hast spoken to us in the name of Elohim, we will not hearken to thee. 17. For we will surely perform every word that shall proceed out of our mouth, to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour drink offerings to her, as we and our fathers have done, and our kings and princes, in the cities of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem. And so we were filled with bread, and were well, and saw no evils. 18. But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, we have all been brought low, and have been consumed by sword and by famine. 19. And whereas we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven, and poured drink offerings to her, did we make cakes to her, and pour drink offerings to her, without our husbands? 20. Then Jeremias answered all the people, the mighty men, and the women, and all the people that returned him these words for answer, saying, 21. Did not Elohim remember the incense which ye burned in the cities of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem, ye, and your fathers, and your kings, and your princes, and the people of the land? And came it not into his heart? 22. And Elohim could no longer bear you, because of the wickedness of your doings, and because of your abominations which ye wrought, and so your land became a desolation and a waste, and a curse, as at this day. 23. Because of your burning incense, and because of the things wherein ye sinned against Elohim. And ye have not hearkened to the voice of Elohim, and have not walked in his ordinances, and in his law, and in his testimonies, and so these evils have come upon you. 24. And Jeremias said to the people, and to the women, Hear ye the word of Elohim. 25. Thus has Elohim Yehovah of Israel said, Ye women have spoken with your mouth, and ye fulfilled it with your hands, saying, We will surely perform our vows that we have vowed, to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour drink offerings to her. Full well did ye keep to your vows, and ye have indeed performed them. 26. Therefore hear ye the word of Elohim, all Jews dwelling in the land of Egypt. Behold, I have sworn by my great name, saith Elohim, my name shall no longer be in the mouth of every Jew to say, Elohim lives, in all the land of Egypt. 27. For I have watched over them, to hurt them, and not to do them good. And all the Jews dwelling in the land of Egypt shall perish by sword and by famine, until they are utterly consumed. 28. And they that escape the sword shall return to the land of Judah few in number, and the remnant of Judah, who have continued in the land of Egypt to dwell there, shall know whose word shall stand. 29. And this shall be a sign to you, that I will visit you for evil. 30. Thus said Elohim, Behold, I will give Uephar's king of Egypt into the hands of his enemy, and into the hands of one that seeks his life, as I gave Zedekiah's king of Judah into the hands of Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, his enemy, and who sought his life. Jeremiah 45. 1. The word which Jeremias the prophet spoke to Baruch son of Neriah, when he wrote these words in the book from the mouth of Jeremias, in the 4th year of Joachim, the son of Josiah king of Judah. 2. Thus has Elohim said to thee, O Baruch. 3. Whereas thou hast said, Alas! Alas! For Elohim has laid a grievous trouble upon me, I lay down in groaning, I found no rest. 4. Say thou to him, Thus saith Elohim, Behold, I pull down those whom I have built up, and I pluck up those whom I have planted. 5. And wilt thou seek great things for thyself? Seek them not. For, behold, I bring evil upon all flesh, saith Elohim. But I will give to thee thy life for a spoil in every place whither thou shalt go. Jeremiah 46. 1. In the beginning of the reign of King Zedekiah, there came this word concerning Elam. 2. For Egypt, against the power of Pharaoh Necho king of Egypt, who was by the river Euphrates in Charmos, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon smote in the 4th year of Joachim king of Judah. 3. Take up arms and spears, and draw nigh to battle. 4. And harness the horses. Mount, ye horsemen, and stand ready in your helmets, advance the spears, and put on your breastplates. 5. Why do they fear, and turn back? Even because their mighty men shall be slain. They have utterly fled, and being hemmed in they have not rallied, saith Elohim. 6. Let not the swift flee, and let not the mighty man escape to the north. The forces at Euphrates are become feeble, and they have fallen. 7. Who is this that shall come up as a river, and as rivers roll their waves? 8. The waters of Egypt shall come up like a river. And he said, I will go up, and will cover the earth, and will destroy the dwellers in it. 9. Mount ye the horses, prepare the chariots, go forth, ye warriors of the Ethiopians, and Libyans armed with shields, and mount, ye Lydians, bend the bow. 10. And that day shall be to Elohim our Yehovah a day of vengeance, to take vengeance on his enemies. And the sword of Elohim shall devour, and be glutted, and be drunken with their blood. For Elohim has a sacrifice from the land of the north at the river Euphrates. 11. Go up to Galad, and take balm for the virgin daughter of Egypt. In vain hast thou multiplied thy medicines, there is no help in thee. 12. The nations have heard thy voice, and the land has been filled with thy cry. For the warriors have fainted fighting one against another, and both are fallen together. 13. The words which Elohim spoke by Jeremias, concerning the coming of the king of Babylon to smite the land of Egypt. 14. Proclaim it at Magdal, and declare it at Memphis. Say ye, Stand up, and prepare, for the sword has devoured thy yew tree. 15. Wherefore has Apis fled from thee? Thy choice calf has not remained, for Elohim has utterly weakened him. 16. And thy multitude is fainted and fallen, and each one said to his neighbor, Let us arise, and return into our country to our people, from the Grecian sword. 17. Call ye the name of Pharaoh Necho king of Egypt, San Esbeamot. 18. As I live, saith Elohim Yehovah, he shall come as Idabirian among the mountains, and as Carmel that is on the sea. 19. O daughter of Egypt dwelling at home, prepare thee stuff for removing. For Memphis shall be utterly desolate, and shall be called woe, because there are no inhabitants in it. 20. Egypt is a fair heifer, but destruction from the north is come upon her. 21. Also her hired soldiers in the midst of her are as fatted calves fed in her, for they also have turned, and fled with one accord. They stood not, for the day of destruction was come upon them, and the time of their retribution. 22. Their voice is as that of a hissing serpent, for they go upon the sand, they shall come upon Egypt with axes, as men that cut wood. 23. They shall cut down her forest, saith Elohim, for their number cannot at all be conjectured, for it exceeds the locust in multitude, and they are innumerable. 24. The daughter of Egypt is confounded, she is delivered into the hands of a people from the north. 25. Behold, I will avenge Ammon her son upon Pharaoh, and upon them that trust in him. 27. But fear not thou, my servant Jacob, neither be thou alarmed, Israel. For, behold, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from their captivity, and Jacob shall return, and be at ease, and sleep, and there shall be no one to trouble him. 28. Fear not thou, my servant Jacob, saith Elohim, for I am with thee. She that was without fear and in luxury, has been delivered up. For I will make a full end of every nation among whom I have thrust thee forth, but I will not cause thee to fail. Yet will I chastise thee in the way of judgment, and will not hold thee entirely guiltless. Jeremiah 47. 1. Thus saith Elohim against the Philistines. 2. Behold, waters come up from the north, and shall become a sweeping torrent, and it shall sweep away the land, and its fullness, the city, and them that dwell in it. and men shall cry, and all that dwell in the land shall howl. 3. At the sound of his rushing, at the sound of his hoofs, and at the rattling of his chariots, at the noise of his wheels. The fathers turn not to their children because of the weakness of their hands. 4. In the day that is coming to destroy all the Philistines. And I will utterly destroy Tyre and Sidon and all the rest of their allies. For Elohim will destroy the remaining inhabitants of the islands. 5. Boldness is come upon Gaza, Ascalon is cast away, and the remnant of the Anakim. 6. How long wilt thou smite, O sword of Elohim? How long will it be ere thou art quiet? Return into thy sheath, rest, and be removed. 7. How shall it be quiet, whereas Elohim has given it a commission against Ascalon, and against the regions on the sea coast, to awake against the remaining countries? Jeremiah 48. 1. Thus has Elohim said concerning Moab, woe to Nabal, for it is perished. Kiriathaim is taken. Amath and Agath are put to shame. 2. There is no longer any healing for Moab nor glorying in Esabon. He has devised evils against her. We have cut her off from being a nation, and she shall be completely still. After thee shall go a sword. 3. For there is a voice of men crying out of Oronaim, destruction and great ruin. 4. Moab is ruined, proclaim it to Zagor. 5. For Aloth is filled with weeping. One shall go up weeping by the way of Oronaim, ye have heard a cry of destruction. 6. Flee, and save your lives, and ye shall be as a wild ass in the desert. 7. Since thou hast trusted in thy stronghold, therefore thou shalt be taken. And Chamos shall go forth into captivity, and his priests, and his princes together. 8. And destruction shall come upon every city, it shall by no means escape, the valley also shall perish, and the plain country shall be completely destroyed, as Elohim has said. 9. Set marks upon Moab, for she shall be touched with a plague spot, and all her cities shall become desolate, whence shall there be an inhabitant for her? 10. Cursed is the man that does the works of Elohim carelessly, keeping back his sword from blood. 11. Moab has been at ease from a child, and trusted in his glory, he has not poured out his liquor from vessel to vessel, and has not gone into banishment, therefore his taste remained in him, and his smell departed not. 12. Therefore, behold, his days come, saith Elohim, when I shall send upon him bad leaders, and they shall lead him astray, and they shall utterly break in pieces his possessions, and shall cut his horns asunder. 13. And Moab shall be ashamed of Chamos, as the house of Israel was ashamed of Bethel their hope, having trusted in them. 14. How will ye say, we are strong, and men strong for war? 15. Moab is ruined even his city, and his choice young men have gone down to slaughter. 16. The day of Moab is near at hand, and his iniquity moves swiftly to vengeance. 17. Shake the head at him, all ye that are round about him, all of you utter his name, say ye, how is the glorious staff broken to pieces, the rod of magnificence? 18. Come down from thy glory, and sit down in a damp place. Dibon shall be broken, because Moab is destroyed. There has gone up against thee one to ravage thy stronghold. 19. Stand by the way, and look, thou that dwellest in error, and ask him that is fleeing, and him that escapes, and say, what has happened? 20. Moab is put to shame, because he is broken. Howl and cry, proclaim in Arnon, that Moab has perished. 21. And judgment is coming against the land of Misor, upon Chelon, and Rephaz, and Mophaz. 22. And upon Dibon, and upon Nabal, and upon the house of Diphlathim. 23. And upon Kiriathaim, and upon the house of Gemel, and upon the house of Man. 24. And upon Kariath, and upon Bozer, and upon all the cities of Moab, far and near. 25. The horn of Moab is broken, and his arm is crushed. 26. Make ye him drunk, for he has magnified himself against Elohim. And Moab shall clap with his hand, and shall be also himself a laughing stock. 27. For surely Israel was to thee a laughing stock, and was found among thy thefts, because thou didst fight against him. 28. The inhabitants of Moab have left the cities, and dwelt in rocks, they have become as doves nestling in rocks, at the mouth of a cave. 29. And I have heard of the pride of Moab, he has greatly heightened his pride and his haughtiness, and his heart has been lifted up. 30. But I know his works. Is it not enough for him? Has he not done thus? 31. Therefore howl ye for Moab on all sides, cry out against the shore men in a gloomy place. I will weep for thee. 32. O vine of Asarima, as with the weeping of Jazer. Thy branches are gone over the sea, they reach the cities of Jazer. Destruction has come upon thy fruits and upon thy grape gatherers. 33. Joy and gladness have been utterly swept off the land of Moab. And though there was wine in thy presses, in the morning they trod it not, neither in the evening did they raise the cry of joy. 34. From the cry of Esabon even to Edom their cities uttered their voice, from Zogar to Oronaim, and their tidings as a heifer of 3 years old, for the water also of Nebron shall be dried up. 35. And I will destroy Moab, saith Elohim, as he comes up to the altar, and burns incense to his gods. 36. Therefore the heart of Moab shall sound as pipes, my heart shall sound as a pipe for the shorn men, forasmuch as what every man has gained has perished from him. 37. They shall all have their heads shaved in every place, and every beard shall be shaved, and all hands shall beat the breasts, and on all loins shall be sackcloth. 38. And on all the housetops of Moab, and in his streets shall be mourning. For I have broken him, saith Elohim, as a vessel, which is useless. 39. How has he changed? How has Moab turned his back? Moab is put to shame, and become a laughing stock, and an object of anger to all that are round about him. 40. For thus said Elohim. 41. Kiriath is taken, and the strongholds have been taken together. 42. And Moab shall perish from being a multitude, because he has magnified himself against Elohim. 43. A snare and fear and the pit are upon thee, O inhabitant of Moab. 44. He that flees from the terror shall fall into the pit, and he that comes up out of the pit shall even be taken in the snare. For I will bring these things upon Moab in the year of their visitation. Jeremiah 49:1. Concerning the sons of Ammon, thus saith Elohim, are there no sons in Israel? Or have they no one to succeed them? Wherefore has Melchal inherited Galad, and why shall their people dwell in their cities? 2. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Elohim, when I will cause to be heard in Rabbath a tumult of wars, and they shall become a waste and ruined place, and her altars shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel succeed to his dominion. 3. Howl, O Esabon, for Guy has perished, cry, ye daughters of Rabbath, gird yourselves with sackclothes, and lament, for Melchal shall go into banishment, his priests and his princes together. 4. Why do ye exult in the plains of the Anakim, thou haughty daughter, that trustest in thy treasures, that sayest, who shall come into me? 5. Behold, I will bring terror upon thee, saith Elohim, from all the country round about thee, and ye shall be scattered every one right before him, and there is none to gather you. 7. Concerning Idumea, thus saith the Elohim, there is no longer wisdom in Thaman, counsel has perished from the wise ones, their wisdom is gone. 8. Their place has been deceived. Dig deep for a dwelling, ye that inhabit Edom, for he has wrought grievously. I brought trouble upon him in the time at which I visited him. 9. For grape gatherers are come, who shall not leave thee a remnant, as thieves by night, they shall lay their hand upon thy possessions. 10. For I have stripped Esed, I have uncovered their secret places, they shall have no power to hide themselves, they have perished each by the hand of his brother, my neighbor, and it is impossible. 11. For thy fatherless one to be left to live, but I shall live, and the widows trust in me. 12. For thus saith Elohim, they who were not appointed to drink the cup have drunk it, and thou shalt by no means be cleared. 13. For by myself I have sworn, saith Elohim, that thou shalt be in the midst of her an impassable land, and a reproach, and a curse, and all her cities shall be desert forever. 14. I have heard a report from the Lord, and he has sent messengers to the nations saying, assemble yourselves, and come against her, rise ye up to war. 15. I have made thee small among the nations, utterly contemptible among men. 16. Thine insolence has risen up against thee, the fierceness of thine heart has burst the holes of the rocks, it is seized upon the strength of a lofty hill. For as an eagle he set his nest on high. Thence will I bring thee down. 17. And Idumea shall be a desert. Every one that passes by shall hiss at it. 18. As Sodom was overthrown and Gomorrah, and they that sojourned in her, saith Elohim Almighty, no man shall dwell there, nor shall any son of man inhabit there. 19. Behold, he shall come up as a lion out of the midst of Jordan to the place of Etham. For I will speedily drive them from it, and ye set the young men against her. For who is like me? And who will withstand me? And who is this shepherd, who shall confront me? 20. Therefore hear ye the counsel of Elohim, which he has framed against Idumea, and his device, which he has devised against the inhabitants of Thaman. Surely the least of the sheep shall be swept off, surely their dwelling shall be made desolate for them. 21. For at the sound of their fall the earth was scared, and the cry of the sea was not heard. 22. Behold, he shall look upon her as an eagle, and spread forth his wings over her strongholds, and the heart of the mighty men of Idumea shall be in that day as the heart of a woman in her pangs. 23. Concerning Damascus. Emath is brought to shame, and Arphath. For they have heard an evil report. They are amazed, they are angry, they shall be utterly unable to rest. 24. Damascus is utterly weakened, she is put to flight, trembling has seized upon her. 25. How has she not left my city, they have loved the village. 26. Therefore shall the young men fall in thy streets, and all thy warriors shall fall, saith Elohim. 27. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall devour the streets of the son of Adar. 28. Concerning Kedar the queen of the palace, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon smote, thus saith Elohim, arise ye, and go up to Kedar, and fill the sons of Kedem. 29. They shall take their tents and their sheep, they shall take for themselves their garments, and all their baggage and their camels, and summon ye destruction against them from every side. 30. Flee, dig very deep for a dwelling place, ye that dwell in the palace, for the king of Babylon has framed a counsel, and devised a device against you. 31. Rise up, and go up against a nation settled and dwelling at ease, who have no doors, nor bolts, nor bars, who dwell alone. 32. And their camels shall be a spoil, and the multitude of their cattle shall be destroyed. And I will scatter them as chaff with every wind, having their hair cut about their foreheads, I will bring on their overthrow from all sides, saith Elohim. 33. And the palace shall be a resting place for ostriches, and desolate forever. No man shall abide there, and no son of man shall dwell there. 34. The prophecies of Jeremiah against the nations of Elam. 35. Thus saith Elohim, the bow of Elam is broken, even the chief of their power. 36. And I will bring upon Elam the four winds from the four corners of heaven, and I will disperse them toward all these winds, and there shall be no nation to which they shall not come, even the outcasts of Elam. 37. And I will put them in fear before their enemies that seek their life, and I will bring evils upon them according to my great anger, and I will send forth my sword after them, until I have utterly destroyed them. 38. And I will set my throne in Elam, and will send forth thence king and rulers. 39. But it shall come to pass at the end of days, that I will turn the captivity of Elam, saith Elohim.
Psalms 149 to 150.
Psalms 149. 1. Alleluia. Sing to Elohim a new song. His praise is in the assembly of the saints. 2. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him, and let the children of Sion exult in their king. 3. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises to him with timbrel and psaltery. 4. For Elohim takes pleasure in his people, and will exalt the meek with salvation. 5. The saints shall rejoice in glory, and shall exult on their beds. 6. The high praises of Jehovah shall be in their throat, and two-edged swords in their hands. 7. To execute vengeance on the nations and punishments among the peoples. 8. To bind their kings with fetters, and their nobles with manacles of iron. 9. To execute on them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Psalms 150. 1. Alleluia. Praise Jehovah in his holy places. Praise him in the firmament of his power. 2. Praise him on account of his mighty acts. Praise him according to his abundant greatness. 3. Praise him with the sound of a trumpet. Praise him with psaltery and harp. 4. Praise him with timbrel and dance. Praise him with stringed instruments and the organ. 5. Praise him with melodious cymbals. Praise him with loud cymbals. 6. Let everything that has breath praise Elohim. This psalm is a genuine one of David, though supernumerary compassed when he fought in single combat with Goliath.
Proverbs 1 to 2.
Proverbs 1. 1. The Proverbs of Solomon son of David, who reigned in Israel. 2. To know wisdom and instruction, and to perceive words of understanding. 3. To receive also hard saying, and to understand true justice, and how to direct judgment. 4. That he might give subtlety to the simple, and to the young man discernment and understanding. 5. For by the hearing of these a wise man will be wiser, and man of understanding will gain direction. 6. And will understand a parable, and a dark speech, the saying of the wise also, and riddles. 7. The fear of Elohim is the beginning of wisdom, and there is good understanding to all that practice it. And piety toward Jehovah is the beginning of discernment, but the ungodly will set at naught wisdom and instruction. 8. Hear my son, the instruction of thy father, and reject not the rules of thy mother. 9. For thou shalt receive for thine head a crown of graces, and a chain of gold round thy neck. 10. My son, let not ungodly men lead thee astray, neither consent thou to them. 11. If they should exhort thee, saying, Come with us, partake in blood, and let us unjustly hide the just man in the earth. 12. And let us swallow him alive, as Hades would, and remove the memorial of him from the earth. 13. Let us seize on his valuable property, and let us fill our houses with spoils. 14. But do thou cast in thy lot with us, and let us all provide a common purse, and let us have one pouch. 15. Go not in the way with them, but turn aside thy foot from their paths. 17. For nets are not without cause spread for birds. 18. For they that are concerned in murder store up evils for themselves, and the overthrow of transgressors is evil. 19. These are the ways of all that perform lawless deeds, for by ungodliness they destroy their own life. 20. Wisdom sings aloud in passages, and in the broad places speaks boldly. 21. And she makes proclamation on the top of the walls, and sits by the gates of princes, and at the gates of the city boldly says. 22. So long as the simple cleave to justice, they shall not be ashamed. But the foolish, being lovers of haughtiness, having become ungodly, have hated knowledge, and are become subject to reproofs. 23. Behold, I will bring forth to you the utterance of my breath, and I will instruct you in my speech. 24. Since I called, and ye did not hearken, and I spoke at length, and ye gave no heed. 25. But ye set at naught my counsels, and disregarded my reproofs. 26. Therefore I also will laugh at your destruction, and I will rejoice against you when ruin comes upon you. 27. Yea, when dismay suddenly comes upon you, and your overthrow shall arrive like a tempest, and when tribulation and distress shall come upon you, or when ruin shall come upon you. 28. For it shall be that when ye call upon me, I will not hearken to you. Wicked men shall seek me, but shall not find me. 29. For they hated wisdom, and did not choose the word of Elohim. 30. Neither would they attend to my counsels, but derided my reproofs. 31. Therefore shall they eat the fruits of their own way, and shall be filled with their own ungodliness. 32. For because they wronged the simple, they shall be slain, and an inquisition shall ruin the ungodly. 33. But he that hearkens to me shall dwell in confidence, and shall rest securely from all evil. Proverbs 2. 1. My son, if thou wilt receive the utterance of my commandment, and hide it with thee. 2. Thine ear shall hearken to wisdom, thou shalt also apply thine heart to understanding, and shalt apply it to the instruction of thy son. 3. For it thou shalt call to wisdom, and utter thy voice for understanding. 4. And if thou shalt seek it as silver, and search diligently for it as for treasures. 5. Then shalt thou understand the fear of Elohim, and find the knowledge of Yehovah. 6. For Elohim gives wisdom, and from his presence come knowledge and understanding. 7. And he treasures up salvation for them that walk uprightly. He will protect their way. 8. That he may guard the righteous ways. And he will preserve the way of them that fear him. 9. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment, and shalt direct all thy course aright. 10. For if wisdom shall come into thine understanding, and discernment shall seem pleasing to thy soul. 11. Good counsel shall guard thee, and holy understanding shall keep thee. 12. To deliver thee from the evil way, and from the man that speaks nothing faithfully. 13. Alas for those who forsake right paths, to walk in ways of darkness. 14. Who rejoice in evils, and delight in wicked perverseness. 15. Whose paths are crooked, and their courses winding. 16. To remove thee far from the straight way, and to estrange thee from a righteous purpose. My son, let not evil counsel overtake thee. 17. Of her who has forsaken the instruction of her youth, and forgotten the covenant of Yehovah. 18. For she has fixed her house near death, and guided her wheels near Hades with the giants. 19. None that go by her shall return, neither shall they take hold of right paths, for they are not apprehended of the years of life. 20. For had they gone in good paths, they would have found the paths of righteousness easy. 21. For the upright shall dwell in the earth, and the holy shall be left behind in it. 22. The paths of the ungodly shall perish out of the earth, and transgressors shall be driven away from it.